Let's bring in Republican Congressman Adam Kinzinger. He joins us on the phone. This is obviously a breaking news story. He is, of course, a member of the January 6th Select Committee. He voted to hold Steve Bannon in criminal contempt of Congress. First of all, Congressman Kinzinger, what's your reaction to the news that the Department of Justice, a grand jury, has indicted Steve Bannon on 2 counts of criminal contempt of Congress?
Well, thanks, Jake. Yeah, I think this is great news, not just because of, the actual Steve Bannon part of this. He's going to be important. But I think it sends a really important message to future, invited witnesses, future folks that are subpoenaed. You cannot ignore Congress. The reality is you may not like it. You may not like the investigation. You may think nothing wrong was done, but you're not going to be able to avoid it. And that is important for the people of the United States to be able to have their voice heard, to be able to get answers through Congress. So this is certainly a good thing, and I hope it sends a chilling message to anybody else that was going to follow through like this.
There were individuals, there were Republicans who voted to hold Steve Bannon in criminal contempt of Congress, and not just you and Liz Cheney, the only 2 Republicans on the January 6th committee. There were others. As always, it was just a handful of Republicans, but there were others. Do you think they will be willing to join when it comes to holding somebody who has a better claim of executive privilege, such as former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, who basically flipped you guys the bird today by not even showing up to testify? Do you think others will be willing to hold him in criminal contempt the same way as they did Steve Bannon?
Yeah, if we go that route, I certainly hope so, because, yes, maybe Mark Meadows, for instance, can argue a little more logically, but still, I think it's pretty clear that there is no logical reason for there to be, a resistance through the claim of executive privilege. That'll be adjudicated in the courts. We're on a faster timeline than I think the Trump people wanted us to be on, which is good. But yeah, I certainly hope not just those that have voted for contempt before, but even future folks will vote for it, because the reality is it's becoming pretty clear through the justice, through the courts, that they are making false claims. And if the Republicans take control of Congress in a year, which looks fairly likely, they're going to want to have subpoena power too. And it's going to be hard to argue for subpoena when you were part of doing everything to resist subpoenas for a very serious thing like January 6th.
But just to not to put too fine a point on it, if Republicans take control of Congress next year, and we should know you're not running for re-election, so you would not be in that group. But if that were to happen, you would expect them to kill the January 6th committee if it still exists and it has not made its conclusions at that time.
I think there is absolutely no doubt that would happen, and I think that is why, we were happy to see the expedited timeline by the appellate court, and I think that's why it's frankly, the Trump folks are trying to stall. They don't have a claim of executive privilege. They know the answers aren't going to be great for them, so their hope is to make it to, swearing in next year or the year following.
Steve Bannon obviously has been lying about the election for months and months and months. Lying to the American people is not a crime, unfortunately. Right. What exactly are you looking? Are you trying to figure out how much he may have tried to conspire to bring people to Washington to violently stop the counting of electoral votes? What are you looking for, you and the committee?
Yeah, he's a piece of a very broad picture. We've interviewed 150 witnesses so far. We expect to have a lot more. He's going to bring a piece to that. So, obviously there was his comments the day before January 6th where he was kind of wink and nod. This is going to go way different than you expect. Very much seems to have known something was going to happen. And so there's a lot of stuff, participating in the war room prior. What we want to know is, what did he know? Who was he talking to? Who was coordinating? If there's nothing to hide, you come in and you talk to the committee and you tell us there's nothing to hide. If there's something to hide, you resist subpoenas and ultimately get indicted by the DOJ. We just want answers. That's what the American people deserve, no matter what side of the political spectrum they are. And most importantly, that is what the future history books deserve, a full accounting of that day, free of conspiracy, free of lies, and free of politics.
What do you say to the Republican colleagues of yours whose lives were being threatened that day by this mob that Donald Trump and others incited and sent to the Capitol, and the mob seemed to be trying to stop the counting of electoral votes? Their lives were on the line, and yet so many of your colleagues don't seem to care, don't seem interested in any sort of information being forced from Steve Bannon. What did they tell you privately?
Well, I mean, so many of them privately, agree with that we need answers, but they tell me they're in, a district that they can't do that. Well, so am I. And, what I tell them, and I've kind of run out of, I guess, patience to try to convince, but what I tell them is like, look, when you run for Congress, there's not a single person that runs for Congress not having some kind of a moral red line. Without no person runs thinking, I'm never going to take a tough vote if it can save the country. But somehow when you get in the job, re-election becomes the most important thing. And you can convince yourself that, boy, if it's not me, it's going to be somebody worse. Well, this is the moment. This right here is the moment where if we don't stand up and get answers, we're going to see the country change in a very dark way, and it'll be totally foreseeable.
And do you have any indication from any of the other individuals who you and the committee have sought information from that this move by Attorney General Garland, I know it's only 25 minutes old, but that this move might cause them to rethink how cooperative they're going to be? I should note that I don't think Donald Trump is coming to pay for the legal fees of any of these individuals.
Well, he's certainly not. And, I don't have any firsthand, since this is broke. But look, I think it's clear there are a lot of people that don't want to and necessarily can't afford high-priced attorneys to try to litigate their way through this. All we're asking is for testimony. We're just asking for answers. So I certainly think this will have a chilling effect in terms of anybody that's been trying to resist. And I certainly hope we don't have to keep repeating this. We just want answers. That's it. And it's a pretty simple request, I think.
Last question, sir, and we do appreciate your calling in. You said earlier that 150 people had testified. Are you finding out that there was that this was not just spontaneous, that there was a conspiracy, that there was a plan to do this, that there will be people who ultimately will go to jail and not just for criminal contempt of Congress?
Well, I don't want to get too much into, obviously, what we found because we want to present this in a comprehensive way. I'll say that there's a lot of, our eyes are being open to a lot of things, not just on, the front of what happened domestically, but, things like misinformation being pushed by other countries. But that'll all be revealed as we have the answers in due time. But just know that we are committed in a nonpartisan way, not just bipartisan, in a nonpartisan way to get the answers to this, that the American people and, frankly, our kids and grandkids, even not born yet, deserve to have.
An allusion to the unborn child you have coming, and we congratulate you for that. And thank you so much, Congressman Kinzinger, for calling in.
You bet, Jake. Thank you.